The advertisement had been discreet, almost an afterthought in the classifieds of a niche academic journal. Archivist Caretaker required for significant private collection. Secluded estate. Discretion paramount. Generous stipend. My name is Arthur Penn, and at the time my academic career had stalled, my funds dwindled. The offer was a lifeline, albeit a peculiar one. The solicitor, a Mr. Blackwood, was as dry and ancient as the papers he had me sign, offering little information beyond the collection belonging to the late eccentric Alistair Thorne. Mr. Thorne was particular, Blackwood had said, a slight tremor in his voice. His catalog is the key. Everything is in the catalog. The Thorne estate was less a mansion and more a stone mausoleum swallowed by an overgrown, forgotten forest. Dust lay thick as shrouds over everything, the air heavy with the scent of decay, chemical preservatives, and something else. Something uniquely unsettling like old fear. Blackwood handed me a single heavy key and an even heavier leather-bound ledger, Thorne's catalog, its pages brittle and filled with a spidery, increasingly erratic script. My task was simple: ensure the collection remained undisturbed, secure, and to continue Thorne's meticulous inventory. He vanished, you know, Blackwood muttered as he left me at the colossal oak door. One day, just gone. The catalog was open on his desk. The collection was beyond words. Not art, not antiques in the conventional sense. Thorne had collected impossibilities. The first few days were a whirlwind of morbid fascination. A chitinous limb, impossibly jointed, ending in too many delicate fingers, floated in a jar of murky fluid. A pair of perfectly preserved wings, feathered not with down but with what looked like dried, overlapping petals of an unknown black flower. A series of strangely shaped stones that hummed with a faint internal vibration if you held them long enough. Thorne's catalog was my guide. Initially, the entries were precise, almost clinical. Specimen 3A, Silas Marner's Lament. Fossilized, tear duct of unknown origin. Note: subtle saline residue still present after 200 years. Specimen 12G, the Whispering Chart. Parchment displaying celestial alignments not visible from Earth. Ink fluoresces under lunar cycles. But as I delved deeper into the collection, venturing into the mansion's gloomier, more remote wings, Thorne's entries began to shift. The script grew more agitated, the descriptions less scientific, more personal. Specimen 7B, the watcher in the glass. It sees me. I know it does. The pupil dilates when I'm not looking. It remembers my face. It wants out. I found Specimen 7B, a fist-sized, perfectly spherical obsidian eye, suspended in a crystal case. I could have sworn, in the periphery, its pupil contracted as I approached. The isolation of the estate began to weigh on me. Days bled into nights, punctuated only by the rustle of ancient draperies and the thud of my own heart. I started to understand Thorne's descent. I too began to notice things. A faint scratching from within a sealed crate labeled Specimen 44X Do Not Open, Quiescent. A subtle shift in the arrangement of bones in a display case, the skeletal remains of something vaguely humanoid, but with a rib cage that opened outwards like a grotesque flower. Bones I had meticulously catalogued just hours before. Thorne's later entries were chilling. The collection is not static. It breathes. It learns. Specimen 21C, the grief engine. It fed on my sorrow last night. I heard it sigh. They whisper from the walls now. The collection is alive. It wants. Some specimens are not on display. They are contained. The lower levels. He made me promise to keep them fed. This last entry chilled me to the bone. Lower levels? Blackwood had made no mention. Driven by a terrible curiosity, I found a heavy, iron-ringed door hidden behind a tapestry in what must have been Thorne's private study. It was unlocked. The air that wafted up was cold, rank, and filled with a low, almost sub-audible thrumming. The catalog had entries for these contained specimens, though Thorne's descriptions were fragmented. terrified. Subject Alpha. The hunger incarnate. Must not see light. The sounds it makes. Oh God. The sounds. Subject Beta. The weaver. Of nightmares, but it showed me. It showed me what I will become. I never ventured down those stairs. The fear was too potent. I focused on the main collection, trying to maintain my sanity, telling myself Thorn had simply succumbed to madness. Yet the scratching from specimen 44X grew louder. The eye in the glass seemed to follow my every move. One evening, reviewing the final pages of the catalog, I found an entry unlike the others. It was recent, the ink still relatively fresh, Thorn's handwriting a near illegible scrawl. Specimen, the final acquisition, pending. He said it would complete the collection. He said I would complete it. Below this, a blank space as if waiting for a new specimen number. Then a new dread trickled in. I had inventoried every displayed item. But Thorn's study, where the catalog was supposedly found open, contained one last grand display case I hadn't dared to approach. It was covered by a heavy velvet drape. Tonight I felt compelled. With trembling hands, I pulled the drape aside. It wasn't a specimen. It was a diorama. Alistair Thorne himself was there, pale and waxy, preserved in a horrifying tableau. He was seated at a desk, pen in hand, eyes wide with a silent, eternal scream. And in his hand he clutched not the catalog, but a single detached page from it. My blood ran cold. I stumbled back, my gaze fixed on that preserved, screaming face. The page he held, I recognized the script, the layout. It was the final incomplete entry. Specimen, the final acquisition. But it wasn't blank anymore. In fresh, neat, precise lettering, below Thorne's frantic scrawl was a new line. Specimen 666, Arthur Penn, the new observer. Acquisition date. Today's date. A soft click echoed from the hallway behind me. The distinct sound of a heavy display case latch, newly oiled, being gently closed. The thrumming from the lower level seemed to pulse in satisfaction. I was part of the collection now. The catalog was complete. And somewhere, another ledger awaited. Another caretaker.